You know, in radio, damage control means you went over with the last show and you got to make good on the new show, on the next show. So we're going to do that, no problem. Joe Reichel and Rob Sobieski are in the studio. They are here each week to tell us what they do. When we see it's raining right now, somebody might be flooded, and they will be at that person's home to make their home back in where it should be. They both represent damage control services and answer our questions, and they also have to have a little bit of psychology, I guess, in their approach to everybody. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing
good morning,
good.
Larry. Was it raining on the way in?
Yeah, it was pouring down rain.
Really? See, I can't tell sometimes in here. I can tell the sidewalk's wet, but
it's wet. It's wet. Everybody needs to be careful for sure.
Yeah. So how's everything?
Good.
Everything's good.
We've had a recent influx in mold calls. I just left a moldy house, moldy apartment condo. It's an interesting situation. We're called because of the one unit. They're calling it the black unit. The property management company, the lady called me, and she says the whole thing needs to be gutted. And there's a little bit of mold coming through on the adjoining condo. So went in the adjoining condo first. We're looking it over, and there is mold on everything.
Wow.
You don't see it. It's just on the wall. It's only on the wall. There's a little green haze, but when you look at all the furniture, there's mold on everything.
But you can't see it?
Well, just to look around.
I see. You smell it?
Typically, no. Not in that apartment. Typically, when you're thinking mold, you're thinking the black fuzz, and that's black and green, and all the dark colors, and that's what's in the one condo.
So what do you do about the furniture? How do you fix that?
Well,
just buy new ones, new stuff.
No, everything will need to be cleaned.
Oh, you can actually fix it. Okay,
you can clean everything down, wipe it down, depending on the material that it is. But we'll have to. The way that we'll do that is we'll get a protocol done. So we call in a professional that a mold. What do you call the guy?
Indoor air quality specialist.
Yeah, there's a
moldologist.
A moldologist.
A moldologist.
A moldy guy. We've got people that we call in. They'll do a protocol for us, and that will tell us everything that we need to do from start to finish in order to clean the whole entire apartment.
So what do we do to prevent that? I mean, what could they have done, and what could we do so we learn from this?
Well, lots of causes.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. I mean, in a house like that,
would a dehumidifier be the answer, or
that would have helped quite a bit. I mean, they've got the air conditioning. They're not living in the apartment, the condo next door, so the air conditioner is on. It's just circulating everything. So you need that on, but. And there again, if you're not going to be living in your home, maybe it's just a temporary residence for you, it's really a good idea to have someone check the house for you every so often.
I've been getting my mom's house ready to sell.
Right.
And I keep the air conditioner on over there. I'm visiting there once a week, and everything looks good, knock on wood, but I listen to what you say and think, that's kind of my way of, even though it hasn't been real cold, it's not running constantly. It just comes on if it gets warm enough, I guess, is what I want to say. But I don't know. It doesn't seem moldy.
You don't really need. I mean, this type of weather, besides today, there's really not a high humidity level in the air, so you don't have to worry so much about mold just growing. In the climate that we have right now. Other than today. Today's a pretty humid day.
But now the back of their house has a lot of shade on it, and there was some green, I called it algae. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. And it came off no problem with I used a wet broom. What I used.
It's on the exterior?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was what do you call, vinyl siding? So it worked out well. All right. If you have a question, go ahead and call. The phone number here is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 352-622-9622. Joe Reichel, Rob Sobieski will be answering your questions. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe and Rob.
Gentlemen.
Good morning.
Calling about the mold you see on roofs. It's that black mold. And I'm wondering if that can accumulate. Would that hold enough water where it could possibly cause a leak into the house somewhere along the line?
Yeah, that could, if that mold is allowed, or that algae. Actually, it's probably more like an algae that's on the roof. If that is allowed to continue to grow, it can it'll hold water. It'll stay moist, and that's why it continues to grow. There's probably shade, a lot of shade around the home.
Well, the roof doesn't have a terrific pitch on it. I don't think it's like a 412 or something like that pitch.
Is there a lot of trees over as well?
No, but I don't know if there was prior.
Okay.
Where I live, people have a thing against trees, so they chop them down as fast as they,
Well, if it's just a coloration of the black?
The roof actually in certain areas is black.
Okay.
And it's more or less a light brick color roof. But almost everywhere it's mold all over the place.
Yeah. Well, it would be a good idea to have the roof cleaned professionally. There's several cleaning companies, pressure washing companies that will use a low pressure system for cleaning roofs, clean it safely, use the appropriate cleaners that will kill that algae,
right. Well,
and that will help to get it off.
I'm assuming there's, because on my house I went to the extent of when it was made and the roof was put on, I asked them to have the better quality shingles that have that mildew resistance and everything else on there.
Yes.
And I noticed there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there definitely is a difference.
Those are a very good product to use. It does cost a little more, but for that situation, it's very good to use that.
Well, the other thing being that this mildew, I don't think is good at all for anything. To be on anything, whether it's the walls of the house or the roof. And to me, the roof, that just helps deteriorate the roofing material in my book.
Yes. The longer it sits there, especially if it's holding moisture, I mean, it will over time deteriorate and shorten the life of the shingles. So it's a good.
All right. Now, if you were to, the other thing I was told, you don't power wash roofs.
That's
they
right.
Have some kind of a spray cleaner on
That's
there,
right.
and then
a soft
rinse
wash
it or something.
Yeah. There's pressure wash companies. I call them pressure wash, but even when it's used on the roof, it's not pressure. It's a low pressure, basically like a water hose type of a thing. But they use a cleaner. They spray a cleaner on with low pressure, and it will eat that algae and kill it, and then they'll wash it off softly and clean.
Well, even if you don't do it, but I mean, it's been there for a while. Mm-hmm. Would that also deteriorate the sheathing or whatever on the roof there, the plywood?
Well, if it gets to that point, then it's the shingles have disintegrated, and that they're ready to be changed anyway. If it does get to that point.
No, I meant that if the moisture just being trapped there, it eventually work its way through the tar paper and make the sheathing or plywood mushy like.
Right, it eventually could, but that's again getting back to just needing regular maintenance to clean that algae off of the roof, so that it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah, just being wet though typically won't hurt the shingles, and you'll have to have deterioration of the shingles before you get to the felt paper that's underneath and the plywood. So.
Well, I was just a thought, that could happen. That would also encourage leaks somehow or the other.
The worse yet for a roof, in any situation, it doesn't sound like you have that problem, but when you have a lot of leaves and trees overhanging the roof, and the leaves accumulate in the valleys or in the gutters, and the water starts backing up that way. That's a lot causes a lot more damage than typically mildew or algae growth on shingles.
This is the house we were looking at that I'm talking about, but the house I'm living in, there's no trees around my house. But I did notice the other day when we had a rain shower, I was amazed at the number of leaves that washed out of the downspout.
Yeah,
the wind blowing the leaves, the leaves will accumulate wherever they can get trapped.
Yeah, this time of the year especially, there's a lot of leaves coming down, and the oak trees are dropping their leaves, so you'll have a lot more than other times of the year in your gutter, and that's why it's regular maintenance, like Rob was saying. As far as cleaning out your gutters, or making sure the valleys of your roof are clear of leaves and excess debris.
One last question: if you were to replace a roof, years ago you were allowed to vent the exhaust fan, had a hose and would go up near the tubing would go up towards the ridge vent. And I think that was acceptable. I don't think that's acceptable today. So if you re-roofing, you would have to bring it up to the current code. Am I correct there?
I'm not sure about that or not.
Yeah.
If it's already in the roof, I don't really know for sure.
And safety-wise, it would probably it would be best to have it go vented out of the attic. But as far as code-wise, I don't know that they would make you change anything like that.
Sort of the insurance companies find out about it or something. They want you to redo the strapping or make it more secure. The roof more secure somehow or the other, and some of that stuff. And that's why I thought about the vents, the room air vents, bathroom air vents, and whatever stove vents should be exhausted to the outside rather than to the air vent, the ridge vent.
Well, in a bathroom situation, that's moist air.
Yep.
So, it is always best to get that out of the house. Typically, just having it go into the attic is not the best situation. So, you'd want to vent that out. As far as like a kitchen vent over a stove or something like that, typically they would vent those to either vent them out or vent them to an overhang.
Right. Well, to me, if you don't have that the kitchen or stove vent out to the outside, it's like saying welcome, putting out the welcome sign to all the critters, roaches, rats, etc.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That is true.
But anyhow, thank you for your information, and I don't know what I just thought maybe you could updated me a little more about what you would do if you wound up having to replace the roof. But thank you very much. Thank you for the programming. You guys are always coming up with some information I think is useful, and thanks, OWOCA.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks
Thank you for the call.
While you were talking to Sonny, I went to your Facebook picture that you posted. And
that's the house I just left.
Yes, and I realized that. Now, looking at the picture, that says everything. What the heck happened there? Why is there a straight line? What was there something over the wall there?
That is the 4-foot joint. There's drywall. Drywall comes in 4-foot sections.
Okay. Oh, I see.
4 foot wide. So at that, there's a space there where the next sheet starts.
I got
So the moisture hasn't risen to that height.
It hasn't bridged over into the upper sheet.
Now, how long do you think that was in the making? For the listeners, if you go, is it on yours, Joe? Your Facebook?
That's on my Facebook. I'll be putting it on Damage Control Services. I don't know if will that show up on the.
No, you mean on here?
Yeah.
Let me turn the camera on this one.
Okay.
This is a little closer, a little bigger. All right. Let me try and put it on the video. Oh, how am I going to do that? Wait a minute. Let me take a shot at it. Let me see if I can do it without looking at it, because you gotta be able to see both pictures at once. Let me see if it works. Oh no, it's not. It's just not working at all. I don't know. Maybe try it this way. Try it your way. But anyway, the picture shows an enormous amount of mold. Here.
Can you see it?
Yeah, let's try to.
And
all right, sort of, kind of, but if you did look at that, the light part at the top is the normal wall color. The bottom half was the mold.
Yeah.
All right.
And there is mold above that, above the 4-foot line in some spots.
But not as heavy. I mean, this looks like you could scrape it off with a spoon.
I went to one earlier this week, or actually it was Friday. Last week was typically, pretty much the same thing. Below 4 foot, everywhere in the house below 4 foot was mold.
Why? What happens?
It was a water leak. They had dried the house there was a condo also. They dried it. So they had someone come in and dry it, but they didn't dry it properly.
Now, what would happen if they painted over that? Would it come through the paint?
Yeah.
Yep.
Within days.
Did they call you too late?
Here again, they're in this one.
Yeah.
This one, for example, this one was an empty condo. And
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
yeah, they had a leak in there. Nobody knew about it.
What's the bottle on the floor? Is that Coca-Cola?
It's hard to say. There's a lot of garbage in there.
There was a lot of garbage in there.
Yeah, that was
This was not a well-maintained place.
No, they had left or been evicted or
Are there
something,
holes in that
so-
wall? Or are they just black spots?
Those are just black spots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, does the mold affect... Because there's an electric outlet there, so it makes me wonder, does the mold actually compromise the safety of the electricity?
Not so much.
No?
I mean, water. If it's dried out, no. But it will get. Mold. The mold growth will be in there.
That place is a mess.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad now about my place.
There's a lot of demolition that'll have to go in there.
Wow. All right. You got a lot. So wow. Good thing they called you. They couldn't rent that out again.
Not yet.
Not like it
or
is.
sell it.
They will when we're done.
Yeah, it'd be brand new. Good morning. You're on the air with Rob and Joe.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, and it's real important that when you have mold that you get people that know what they're doing.
Exactly.
I would say, yeah.
And that's a lot of times, that's what I was saying in the situation we were just talking about, the one I went to Friday. They had someone come out, dry the house.
Yep.
And they didn't dry it completely. And, thus, within 12 to 48 hours after a water loss, you can have mold growth. So.
And nothing kills it.
Yeah. I don't think just putting what you used to bleach in a bottle and squirt it and you were good to go.
Ooh.
Isn't that what people used to think?
I heard this
That's
answer
what they
before.
used to think.
That used to be the answer.
Yeah. Well, I had somebody I know. She had hired a person, and his business card said mold meaty. What is it called? What's the term?
Remediator.
Yeah.
Right. And he came in and he did the repairs on her house, and she was still sick. She had respiratory problems and everything else, and she had another contractor come in, and he looked at it, and the insurance company had paid the first guy, and he looked behind the cabinets and everything, and it was mold real thick.
Yeah.
And the cabinets were rotted; they almost just fell apart. So then they had to get the insurance company back out there, reopen the claim, and then she had to hire somebody else, and they had to tear out everything the other guy did. And they're going to try to segregate against the other guy,
Right.
But it's crazy. But another thing, the reason I called was, I know a building right now that has water damage because of a couple dollar part behind the toilet.
Yep.
Right.
They came in to work and had 3 inches of water throughout the whole building.
No.
And I'm wondering,
My
is that
goodness.
something now this is, shuts the office down for days and days, and got the big fans blowing and the pumps running and all the, baseboard removed and, the carpet drying out and all this. But that little $2-3 part is costing a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Would it be wise to have those parts, like every 10 years, switched out? Like behind your toilet, that little connection that is kind of the culprit that causes a lot of water damage. And then you also like your ice maker. That's a big problem, child.
Yeah, those are areas of maintenance that that would make sense to do. Not very many people ever do it.
I bet
No,
they don't.
not
yeah.
really.
So
I forgot about the ice maker.
yeah, ice makers, the connections behind the commode, like she was saying, a lot of times those are areas that are the common culprits. Typically, it's not something that anybody does any maintenance on, and sometimes you never have a problem on with those things. So it's really hard to tell.
But those little couple dollar parts end up costing businesses and homeowners and insurance companies the majority of the water claims.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, because every time I'm as an insurance agent, they call me when they call me and say my house is flooded. And it's always something like that. It's the ice maker.
Right.
Or air conditioner unit can do it.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
You are an insurance agent?
I am.
Oh, okay. Which company?
I'm with USI Insurance, formerly Lossing.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's just those are the biggest claims are water damage.
Exactly.
And those small parts can definitely cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
There's quite a few in every home. I mean, there's 1, 2 under every sink, and
well, your
one
water
behind the
heater is a
toilets,
big one too.
That's right.
Yeah, your water heater, and you're gone all day. You come home, and all of a sudden, you open your door, and you're swishing in water, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized your voice.
Oh, you did?
I thought so.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Linda, right?
Yeah, because I sound like I'm from Canada.
No.
A little further south, just a tiny bit further south.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's, you were talking about, like another mold job having to open up. That's one thing that we try to, convince all homeowners to have done afterwards is an IAQ, indoor air quality test. And a lot of times, like our policy, depending on the job, we'll go ahead and have one done even if the homeowner doesn't want one, just to make sure that we are clear and have everything taken care of.
Well, the girl I was telling you about, she couldn't live in her house because she was very sensitive to mold, and she spent like 60 days in like a residence inn.
Wow.
And
that's where
every time she went home, she got sick again.
Yeah.
And they thought it was in her mind. Well, it wasn't. She had a lot of mold still in the house.
Yeah, if they'd have had someone come in and do an indoor air quality test, and then they would have been able to verify that the mold was still there, or that it was cleaned up, or whatever. We've even started looking at some new technology that we're going to be talking about here real soon that kills all that stuff. So.
That's right.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, thanks for all the information. It's a great program.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay, you take care.
Thanks for
bye
calling.
Now. Okay, bye.
Does the ozone treatments that you hear about kill mold? I know they kill odors, but do they kill actual mold?
I think they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not as good as some products, but it is a.
It will.
Yeah.
By the way, Scott was looking at the picture. He wrote, "Wow." By the way, nice pink shirt.
Thanks, Scott.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yeah, not me.
I'm calling in reference to putting in the solar-powered roof vents. Now, past summer was not all that hot, but it was hot. But I mean, it was more humid. And if you put in a solar-powered vent and you're naturally pulling the air in through the soffits and everything else, with that high humidity of air, would that be detrimental to the air spaces between the ceiling and the roof? I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you.
Actually, those roof vents being able to pull that air through is good air circulation. It's not a stagnant air. So even though it may have some moisture in it, which you're never going to get away from, there's going to be humidity in the air. As long as it's pulling that air through and it's a continuous circulation, that it wouldn't be detrimental to the interior of the roof. So it's actually it's beneficial. Those solar-powered roof vents are good to have.
Get the air moving around is always a good thing.
And when the solar vents are working, it's typically warmer than other times. So you wouldn't have the higher amounts of moisture, as you would at other times.
I don't know if this applies to anything indoors, but what I mentioned about the back of my mom's house, the fact that it gets shade is where the algae was.
Right.
Okay. Would that apply indoors? In other words, if we opened up the blinds and got the sun to come in, would that also help kill the mold as much as it could? I mean, look at these windows. I mean, does it help?
I think opening up the airs and the windows and getting air to circulate.
But the sunlight,
the sun is good for everything.
Opening blinds and.
But here again, you've got to be careful that you don't have higher humidity levels outside than you do inside. And that's, it depends on the relative humidity levels.
So check your RH first.
Right. Check your relative humidity before opening your windows. That's one thing. I mean, if it's, you're just trying to open up and, air out your house, it's a good idea.
Well, I mean, the not the windows, but the shades, the curtains, just to let the sunlight in without the windows being opened. Would that help? Would that
not necessarily.
Would that help? No, okay.
Test.
Okay.
No, not in a situation like
that was
the
too much. That was huge.
Oh
yeah.
That was a big job. That's tear it all down, start all over again time, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
The whole kitchen, dining room, everything will be going.
Yikes.
All the flooring.
Yikes.
No salvage.
All right.
Big dumpster.
Well, a good show again, as always, guys. How do we get a hold of you if we have mold damage of any sort?
We can get me. I'm Rob. On my cell phone is area code 352-817-3625. Or my email address is rob@damageflorida.com.
Okay.
And you can reach me, this is Joe, at 352-817-6574. Joe at Damage, Florida, or you can call our office, 622-5135.
Got that on there as well. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week.
We will take a little break and be back.
And remember, no bleach.
No bleach.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. A major snowstorm bearing down on the nation's midsection is dumping more than a foot of snow on a region that's still reeling from last week's blizzard. Whiteout conditions are hampering road clearing efforts in western Oklahoma. Coast Guard officials are looking for your help in finding a family missing off the Southern California coast who made distress calls saying their boat was sinking. They don't know where the boat was coming from, going, or who was aboard. A northern New York man admits he did take a baseball bat and smashed the glass countertop at a drug paraphernalia shop after his son overdosed on bath salts sold at the store. He says he just went crazy after the clerk showed him how to use the products. Oscar producers say they went to great lengths to invite First Lady Michelle Obama to be a presenter. The Hollywood Reporter says they sent a secret team to the White House to meet with her under the press corps radar. The new cast members of Dancing with the Stars are ready to rumba.